This is All India Radio. In the program Manthan, now we bring you a discussion on security preparedness for the Tripura Assembly election. The participants are G.S. Rao, State Police Nodal Officer, Assembly Election Tripura, and Manas Pratim Sarma, AIR Correspondent.
Tripura is going for assembly polls on Thursday. To speak more on the security measures and all the related arrangements, we are joined by State Police Nodal Officer, Mr. G.S. Rao. Would you please tell us what is the security measurement we are going to see on the day of poll?
This time the CI has provided us with 400 companies of force, including Central Police Armed Forces and various state SAPs. We have deployed them in the vulnerable areas where there are apprehensions of threatening, intimidation, of obstructions, of canvassing and such areas. That has made a lot of impact on the ground with so much of force, 200 companies being deployed in the vulnerable areas in advance. In the next phase, the next 200 companies also have come by 9th of this month, and total 400 companies are deployed on the ground as and when they have reached Tripura, and they have been tasked with duties of coverage in the vulnerable areas, and they have been doing excellent work in the field. The impact is clearly visible. There is a lot of confidence in the public in these areas. The movement of CAPFs is very visible, and results have been very good with these security measures. On the day of the poll, all CAPFs will be deployed in polling stations. However, there will be Central Armed Police Forces as well as state SAPs available with us for deployment in vulnerable areas where people may have apprehension of threatening or any obstruction to the polling process. The areas will be very well covered. Sector security plan has been prepared from the CEO's office with a very detailed inputs from the ground, and all vulnerable areas will be covered by deployment of CAPF as well as SAPs on the ground.
And we have seen deployment of security forces, flying squad, static surveillance team across Tripura. Now, what are the amounts of recovery, things, goods, liquors, etc. after the declaration of election in the state?
As per ECI guidelines, we have constituted flying squads as well as static surveillance teams, at least 3 per assembly constituency each, and CAPF along with police representatives have been deployed with these teams, and they are doing extensive checking activities in the entire state. As part of these extensive checking activities as well as other police nakas which are also strengthened during this period, a lot of seizures have happened during this period. In terms of seizures, the SSTs, FSTs as well as police nakas and CAPF deployments have done very good work.
And coming to the security measures, we know that Tripura is having international border with Bangladesh and state borders with Assam and Mizoram. What are the security measures in international and state borders?
We have 856 kilometers of border with Bangladesh. Most of the border is fenced and well manned by 18 battalions of BSF. However, there are certain gap areas, approximately about 50 kilometers in the overall border length. These areas are being specifically covered by BSF as well as local police, TSR for this election period. We have 54 kilometers of border with Assam and 109 kilometers of border with Mizoram. We had several rounds of coordination meetings with the authorities from Assam side as well as Mizoram side, and they have been very kind enough to extend all possible cooperation to Tripura during this election period. The entry points, exit points from these states are being covered by the Assam police as well as Mizoram police on their side and Tripura police on our side, and all vehicles as well as movement of people and materials is being checked on the borders. During the poll process, the BSF has been requested to intensify their vigil on the border and seal the borders to the extent possible. However, this will not affect the people living outside the border fence and within our area. They will be facilitated by BSF for their voting activity.
And this is very interesting for our pan-India listeners. There are around 180 some voters who have Indian citizens but they stay outside the fencing zone. So would you please explain this, how it will happen, what is the mechanism you are going to put in place for them?
It's an interesting feature because of the peculiar nature of our border. Certain houses as well as the inhabitations fell beyond the fencing area because as per international protocol, the fencing has to be done not exactly on the zero line but little inside the zero line. However, there are gates in the fence and these gates are being manned by the BSF. Voters and people living beyond the fencing area are all well known to the BSF personnel. They are given identity by the BSF and they will be facilitated on the day of poll to exercise their franchise.
Right. Though Tripura has a reputation of having a very good percentage of turnout, but there is allegation that some people have been intimidated, the weaker section people were threatened, not to cast their vote or like that. Is there such apprehension this time also? And if so, how police or how the security system is going to help them?
The awareness of voters in Tripura is very good and the election department has taken several measures to improve the awareness. They have conducted several awareness programs to motivate people to exercise their franchise and hence usually we see that there is a high turnout of voters. Certain areas where there are allegations of intimidation or any interference, but we have made extensive arrangement of CAPF deployment as well as SAPs in these areas. There are sector security plans. Civil police sector officers are appointed well in advance. They will be present in their sectors and they will be taking the complaints if any. They will be attending to the complaints immediately and resolving the issue.
And coming to another issue, insurgency in entire northeast. In Tripura also, now the cases have been declined. We are in the downside. But even though, what is your apprehension on that day if any sort of militancy is going to disturb peaceful polling? If so, how you are going to tackle this issue?
Insurgency has long been there in Tripura and has been a major factor in past elections. However, the insurgency activities have come down considerably. However, there are reports of whatever little leftover insurgent groups trying to interfere with the process. The insurgent groups are mostly outside the border. They are not present here right now. However, by communicating with people, they are trying to interfere. We have made extensive counter-insurgency operation plan in the border areas and we have specifically deployed the CAPF companies in vulnerable areas to handle this threat.
And how technology is going to help your security personnel, your security agencies?
There are a lot of measures being taken in these elections. Every polling station is being covered with webcasting by the election department and mobile phones are being extensively used. Wherever there are shadow areas where mobile network is not reliable, we have deployed our wireless network for facilitating smooth flow of communication on the day of the election. The helpline numbers are published by the election office. They will be manned continuously to attend to any complaints coming on the helpline numbers.
And another point is that since you are looking after the security aspect, you are the Nodal official, how this election in the year 2023 is different on security perspective points of view? What are the major challenges this time?
The elections this time are very interesting. There were apprehensions of violence, there were apprehensions of intimidation, but however you can see from the data till now, due to extensive deployment of CAPFs and SAPs in the area well in advance and continuous area presence of the forces, the complaints have come down considerably compared to earlier elections. There were stray incidents of violence, but all the incidents of violence were immediately attended to by the police and FIRs were registered in all the instances reported and arrests were made, all the instances reported, and this action has led to a lot of confidence building in the public in these elections.
Right. And since the campaigning has come to an end, so how your security deployment plan in entire state in the next 48 hours so that people can come out from their homes easily without any fear to exercise their voting rights?
Our security plan will be in place continuously till completion of poll as well as after completion of the poll. The CAPFs which will be deployed with polling stations, they will be moving to polling stations only on 15th. Till that time, the force presence on the ground is very much intact Even when the CAPF moves to the polling booths, the TSR, state police as well as other SAPs which we have received, they will be very much present in the ground and they will be handling the law and order issues.
And coming to the day of counting, though Tripura has some days to wait for that day, but what will be your security plan for the 2nd of March?
CAPF as well as SAP companies that we have received, some of them will be moving out for the elections in Nagaland and Meghalaya. Force will be present in the area to maintain law and order.
Right. And coming to voting days, ECI has made special provisions for weaker sections, for pregnant women, for Divyang people, other senior citizens. What the instruction that has been given to your security forces to help them? How your people are going to help them?
The security personnel will not be directly involved with the polling process. However, they have been briefed to facilitate the people in the exercise of their franchise, particularly with due regard to elderly people, women and differently abled people. They will be certainly doing their best to facilitate such voters whenever they are approached.
And being the nodal officer, who is looking after the security issues, what's your message to the people of Tripura, to the voters of Tripura?
The elections it's the pinnacle of democracy, and voters of Tripura are all very aware and very matured. I would only appeal to them to exercise their franchise freely and fairly without any fear. The police has made all the arrangements to keep the elections peaceful.
And finally, any other message you would like to convey to the people, to your security personnel who will be looking after all the security scenario through All India Radio?
Security personnel have been working very hard since last 2-3 months. The preparations have been going on since 6 months. However, they have been doing a lot of hard work, and their hard work has been very visible in terms of peace on the ground. I would really appreciate their efforts, and I would request them to continue their efforts till the counting is over.
Thank you, Mr. Rao, once again for giving us your valuable time and valuable insight input. Thank you again.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on security preparedness for the Tripura Assembly election. The participants were G.S. Rao, State Police Nodal Officer, Assembly Election Tripura, and Manas Pratim Sarma, AIR Correspondent. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.